Hello and welcome to the first real video on my channel. I'm HiFi-Dawson and you might know me from my website HiFioasis.com. I do audio reviews, I talk a lot about digital audio players. I have a digital audio player guide that some of you may have seen, and through that, one of the most common questions I get is, what is one of the best $200 digital audio players I can get? Well, we're going to take a look at 3 options that I think you should consider for $200, and I'll have 2 bonus options later on, so stay tuned for those. So the 3 we're going to look at right now are the Surfans F28, the HiBy R3Pro II, and the Shanling M1 Plus. The Surfans F28 is all aluminum. It's got really nice build quality, physical buttons, micro SD card slot and USB-C, balanced and 3.5mm outputs, and a volume wheel. The volume wheel is nice, just there's a little bit of play with it, so when you make volume changes, they're not always exact. Let's turn this on. This runs a custom version of HiBy OS, and it's more of a reskinned version, I guess, more than custom. It's not my most favorite experience when it comes to the operating system, especially because sometimes these gestures don't always go through. It's a little bit finicky in that regard. But generally speaking, it's pretty stable and pretty fluid. Another thing that I do not like is on the front here we have playlist and we have my music. Well, these should actually be switched, because if you go on the playlist, it's actually your music, like artists and albums, whereas if you go into my music, it's your playlists. I've given them feedback about this. I hope they do correct this. I know it's just a translation thing, but maybe one day. Has a nice overall layout. I think the text is decently sized. It's easy to see. In typical HiBy OS fashion, they've decided just to do artists and not album artists for how to view the music. So if that's how you tag your music, I would recommend retagging everything so that your album artists are in the artist's place. Otherwise, you will get probably a lot of single artists in here because of, featured artists and so on. Overall, scrolling is nice. It's fast, fluid. It does order albums alphabetically instead of chronologically. I don't think there is a non-Android DAP that does it chronologically, which is a shame. But overall, it's a pretty nice DAP, to be honest. For $180, really not bad. It's got 2 ESS Sabre DACs. It uses the Ingenic X1000E chipset. Very mid-range chipset when it comes to these lower budget digital audio players. This thing does have quite a bit of output power. The 3.5mm output has about 125 milliwatts per channel, and the 4.4 has 450 milliwatts per channel. Pretty good. The one issue I have with the output performance is there is some background noise, so I guess maybe they don't publish their data, but maybe the minimum output impedance is just a little bit too high for sensitive IEMs. Using something like the Campfire Audio Iris, you will hear a little bit of background hiss. It's not as bad as on the Surfans F20, but it is there. Next, let's look at the HiBy R3Pro II. So this would be HiBy's flagship HiBy OS DAP. Build quality-wise, it's amazingly done. Aluminum shell. It's got this ultra suede back. It feels nice. Gives it a nice kind of premium, high-end look to it. I really like the form factor of this, and I think they did a really good job with this design. It's pretty solid. Especially you get like 20 hours of battery life, 21 hours of battery life. It's got USB-C, 4.4mm output, and 3.5mm. You've got the volume here, and you got the playback control over here. micro SD card slot underneath this little rubberized thing. No, this is not weatherproof, it's just an aesthetic thing. Turning it on, well, it's HiBy OS, and if you do know of HiBy OS, you do know that it can be sometimes a little bit laggy, some visual artifacts. There are some bugs where it reboots the device if you have too large of a library or too large album art. Those things are all valid here too, but there are ways to minimize that. I won't go into all those details here. If you want to know those kind of details, check out my review. I do have full reviews of all these digital audio players on my website. Otherwise, this is a nice looking screen. Definitely higher resolution screen than this one. Let's go into this. Yeah, color reproduction is really nice. Unfortunately, I think because of the higher resolution, that means the chipset just has a harder time to drive it, and sometimes when you're changing songs, either there'll be a pixelated album art or it just won't load for a few seconds. Not a deal breaker, but definitely doesn't do anything to help the user experience. As you can see, I optimized the album art on here, so it's 500 by 500. They're all JPEGs. They're all less than 200 kilobytes. That kind of stuff really does help. It's all gesture navigation. You can pull down. You get shortcuts, control the brightness. The screen gets the brightest of these three audio players. And really, this has the nicest screen. Again, I'll go into the artists here, and alphabetical, not chronological. There is album artists here, but unfortunately, it just lists all the songs. I don't know who would use it this way. I could not use it that way. That does not suit any sort of workflow. Playlists are in here. You can create playlists on all of these. You can create playlists on the device. You can import M3U files. You cannot reorder them, and you cannot create folders for those of you who come from platforms like Spotify. The output power, a little bit better on this device. Just look at my notes again over here. So on the 3.5 millimeter, we got 121 milliwatts, and on the 4.4 output, we got 480 milliwatts. So just a bit more than on the balanced than the Surfans F28, a little bit less on the 3.5 millimeter than the Surfans F28, but more than enough to drive most IEMs, most over-ear headphones that are efficient. But on this DAP, there is absolutely no background noise. So if you use a sensitive IEM, I don't hear anything. It has a very dark background. Makes it a pleasure to listen to. The Shanling M1 Plus. Spoiler alert, this is my favorite digital audio player in this price bracket. It does so many things right. It is almost the complete package. So all of these have very similar build quality. They're all well done. They're all aluminum. This has a volume wheel, which is okay. It's better than this volume wheel because it's it's digital. It has a little bit less play in it. It doesn't stick out. Here it's kind of easy to swipe at it. Here, not so much. Feels nice to use. And it's pretty accurate too, going up incremental steps. This also features a pull-down menu system. This runs Shanling's M-Touch OS, which is very well optimized for the hardware that's in here. What I really like is you can choose between artist and album artist. I think this is what really makes this audio player. This will help so many people depending on which workflow that you listen to your music. You don't have to go changing your metadata, your tags of your music. Has nice scrolling. If we go into an artist, the album art does load. I don't imagine it caches it. I think that would increase the load on the CPU. It also does it alphabetically, as we see, not chronologically. Not end of the world, but again, one can dream. Overall, this has probably the nicest UI. There's never any lag. There's never you're never waiting for it. It looks nice. The screen isn't the highest resolution, but it's good enough. I mean, the album art looks pretty good. Go through some more here. Yeah, I mean, I think that just looks fine. That just looks fine to me. Output power wise, so we got both 3.5 millimeter and 4.4 millimeter balanced. The 3.5 has 195 milliwatts per channel. The 4.4 has 660 milliwatts per channel. This is a lot of power. This is more power than either of these DAPs. This is more power than most people will need, especially if you're using IEMs. This does a lot of headphones too, like oversized headphones. They don't necessarily have to be that efficient. I've used the Sennheiser HD660S2 with this just fine on the balanced output. Sounds great. I think overall this one is more of the complete package that people should go for. Now, I did say there were two bonus options. So this is $199, this is $199, this is $179. This is the HIDIZS AP80 Pro Max. This goes for, officially, I think it's $229, but essentially the MSRP is going to be about $190. So $190 gets you this smaller DAP. It's running, well, HiBy OS, so it's going to be very similar experience to the HiBy R3Pro II and the Surfans F28. I don't have a SD card in here, that's why it's giving me the error. I do find the navigation experience to be a little bit smoother on this compared to the R3 Pro II. I think maybe HiDIZS had optimized it a little bit. If they did, it shows. It's really, really fluid. Scrolling through artists, although that was kind of slow. Scrolling through artists really quick. Can use the letter selector here. And again, alphabetical, not chronological for albums. I say that because a lot of people do listen that way, and I do see a lot of questions regarding these kind of things. A lot of these types of details are overlooked in a lot of reviews. Most of the reviewers focus purely on the sound quality instead of the overall user experience. So I guess it's important to know those types of details. This also has a really nice volume knob. I would say actually it's pretty comparable to the Shanling. It's nice to use, feels solid, also functions as a power and screen off one. This does have both 3.5 millimeter and 4.4 millimeter balanced outputs, 112 milliwatts on the 3.5 and 380 on the 4.4. I think those are the official ones. It's hard to actually know what exactly it is. Their documentation has two different numbers, and several reviewers have different numbers in their reviews, but those are the most common ones I can find. The only issue with this DAP is probably the screen size. It is on the smaller side, but not that small compared to these. It's more to do with the text size. But if you can get around that, this is a really, really solid option. Another small DAP like this is the Tempotech Variations V1. Hands down, this is way better. Software experience is better. This also has parametric EQ on it. HiBy has been working on that for their OS. It recently came out for the R3 II, so I think the R3 Pro II is going to get it soon. Going here, PEQ. Yeah, it's parametric EQ. It's nice to have that. I think more non-Android digital audio players should have that. So I did say there was one other one, and the last one we're going to look at is not a HiBy or a Shanling. It's going to be a FiiO. It's the FiiO JM21. So this is an Android DAP, so it's a little bit different than these ones because these are running a custom Linux-based OS. This is running Android, and this one goes for, I guess it's about $179. It's hard to tell just because of sometimes with the pricing lately and everything. This is the 3 GB, 32 gig version. 3 GB of RAM, 32 GB of storage. There is a 4 GB of RAM and 64 gig storage version. I think it goes for around $240. But this, you know, this is a really great DAP for this price. It sounds good, performs really well. It's Android, so you can have any app you want. You can download streaming services. Speaking of that, I guess the HiBy R3Pro II can do Qobuz and title streaming, and the Shanling can do title streaming. To me, those are nice to haves. They don't really add too much because the actual experience is pretty mediocre. It just sometimes playlists don't load, and sometimes they skip songs. It's not that well optimized. It's not like listening to it through a native app on the JM21, for example. So this is just a quick sort of what are these DAPs and what is the software experience like on them. I know not enough people show what it is to how it is to actually use these audio players. So I hope some of this has been helpful. Again, this is the first video for this channel. I'm hoping to do more. So if you do want to see more, let me know down in the comments. If you want to see more, subscribe. That'll definitely help a lot. And check out my website, HiFi-Oasis.com. All the links will be in the description below. And see you next time.